boys and girls of the internet. Today is Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. Log number 218. And I wanted to chime in on the whole shindig with a controversial figure named Alex Jones. I have no love for the man, and I will not defend him in any way. He is indefensible, in my opinion. There's a lot of YouTubers out there right now that, in their own rights, they consider themselves controversial in some way, shape, or form. Not to the extent of Alex Jones, of course. Nobody is, if you ask me. But in their own right, you know, and this is going on different ends of the spectrum too, you know, left wing and right wing, you know, controversies, that they have a fear that what happened with Alex Jones is like a slippery slope for them. If you're not aware, what basically happened, Alex Jones, he has his YouTube show, he has his podcast on Spotify and Apple Music, and he has his page on Facebook. Well, within the span of a couple of days, he was just one after the other, just kicked off all of them. His Facebook page got kicked down, his Apple Music shows got pulled, his YouTube channel got banned, Spotify pulled a couple of his shows, and most of it was citing that he was putting out there hate speech and inciting violence, which I totally agree with. Alex Jones, his speech is not merely controversial, is not merely an extreme voice on the other end, adding to the conversation of one political party versus the other. No. His speech was straight up damning and insightful, again, to violence towards real people and has real world consequences. And I cite the example of, it's like yelling "bomb" in an airport. One might say that saying any word in any place like an airport should be protected under First Amendment rights. You can say anything you want. But if you yell "bomb" in an airport, you're going to incite panic. And you can be arrested for that. So be clear when people say, oh, we have freedom of speech in this country. You say whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. No, you cannot. There are limitations to that free speech. Not only that, you know, the things that a lot of these other, you know, particularly YouTubers are a little afraid about is that this isn't really a free speech issue, because all these companies that pulled Alex Jones off their platforms, they're all private companies, and they can do whatever they want with whoever's on their platforms. If you choose to be on their platform, if they don't like you for whatever reason, they don't have to give a reason, they can pull you. Now, they do have terms and conditions, so they do have to kind of cite, hey, you violated this terms and condition. That's what each one of them did. And I totally agree with that. And the problem is that one of the channels I watch is Secular Talk with Kyle Klinsky. And Kyle is a great guy. He knows his facts, and he researches the truth of things, but he does engage in some controversy here and there. Or he'll say some controversial things that no other person that you'll see on, what they call the free media on the internet is. Like, he'll criticize Obama numerous times over, all the drone strikes that we do overseas in the Middle East. That could be a controversial thing because, number one, not many people even talk about that. And for people who are on the left, and Kyle, he is on the left, but he's a progressive. Most people on the left would, they praise Obama, high and low. Because, he was a wonderful president. And yes, he was. In a lot of regards, Obama was a great president. I loved him. But he can, there are a couple of things that he can be criticized for. Like kind of handling Middle East that way. We were in 7 different interventions overseas. If Obama was a good progressive liberal, he probably would have fought harder to get out of some of those conflicts. But he didn't. There's a couple other things too, but I won't mention them. But that's kind of how Kyle is. But nothing about that is anywhere, near, shape, or form the controversies and the conspiracies that Alex Jones engages in. Alex Jones is one of the people who he didn't start it, but he certainly riled up and kept reporting on it over and over again about the quote-unquote Pizzagate scandal. If you don't remember that was some stupid-ass email or something, or information that came out that in some pizza parlor, Hillary Clinton and her cronies were running a basement, child sex ring. You can't make this shit up, people. And so instead of doing any type of investigation or finding out the truth of things, Alex Jones is one of those people who sees that and thinks that sounds logical, and he runs with it, and he runs with it hard. This is a guy who froths at the mouth, and he's really like, Hillary Clinton, she's a demon. Obama, he's a demon. There are flies around him. People around them, they say that he smells like sulfur. He's a little demon from hell. And he's that type of person. That is not a normal human being. Whether that's an act, I don't care. That's not a normal human being. So when he keeps doing this over and over again, and he has followers who follow everything he says and thinks like he does, they can get incited to violence. And one did. There was a person who totally believed Pizzagate was a thing, and he went to that exact pizza parlor and shot the place up. Right then and there, Alex Jones should have been pulled off the air. That was a year ago, I think. A little over a year ago. And for a long time, and up until today, around this day, but he's off the air, so not until today, but up until recently, he keeps, every once in a while putting out there that some of these school shooting victims that has been going on for the last couple of years, starting with Sandy Hook, that they are crisis actors. The whole event is a false flag operation. That these children weren't ever killed. That even in some instances that these parents that they keep going on TV that they say that children were killed, they never had children to begin with. That it's all a fraud. It's all a fallacy. It's something that they cooked up, the Democrats cooked up, in order to paint some narrative to take all your guns. That's the kind of lunacy that he puts out there. Now, if you put that kind of lunacy out there over and 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 over again, people are going to that listened to him are going to take this seriously, and they did. And there are some families, around Sandy Hook, that they get harassed. They had these children, little 6 and 7-year-old children, who were murdered, taken from them. And yet, to this day, they're getting harassed by people who listen to garbage like Alex Jones. I bet you there's some other people out there that say the same thing about, false flag operations. Trust me, I've seen them on Facebook. How all that shit was a hoax. And they don't just, harass them online. Yeah, that's one thing that they started with. But they find out where they live. They find out what their jobs are. And, they basically dox them. They find out all the information they can. And they harass them in real life. And not just harass them, but threaten them. Threaten their lives. These people feel unsafe. And they've had to, put restraining orders against certain people. A lot of these families had to move several times. People then find out where they moved to. They had to move again. One family had to move 7 times. 7 times since Sandy Hook. And that was in 2012. So yes, Alex Jones should be fucking taken off the air. And worse, he should be put into a fucking mental institute. And in Kyle's video, and a couple other videos I've seen, they kind of say this could be something that leads to, sets a precedent. I'm a controversial person too. This sets a precedent that any type of controversy they can just say. It's no, wait. It's one thing to have controversial speech. It's another thing to have insightful hate speech that incites violence. It's Kyle and all these other people, do you do that? No, they don't. So, you got nothing to be afraid of, unless you engage in that type of behavior yourself. I think anybody who says anything on their, if they have a platform, if I'm on YouTube, if I say something that so-and-so should be murdered, which I never do, I say Alex Jones should be put in a mental institute. I didn't say anything about anybody killing him. Don't go and kill him. I would be inciting violence if I said that. But I don't do that because people are susceptible to suggestion, whether direct suggestion or indirect suggestion. So I'm super glad that Alex Jones got his platform took away. Now there was another point that I kind of agreed with, is that they said that this at least allows him to play the victim card, and that might be a benefit to him. That it's oh look, all these liberal Hollywood elitists, they can't take what I am saying. I'm saying the truth, and they can't take it, so they kick me off their platforms, and he plays a victim, and that works in his favor. That's kind of the slight thing that I agree with in terms of banning. But all in all, even if he plays a victim like that, so what? Better than, in my mind, who knows what else he's going to say in the future over anything in any context. But if he says something else that is against whoever else, on the left, like Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, any progressive out there that, I am in favor for, I know he's going to say something about it. What if, he tries to incite violence against them personally? If something does happen, if some lunatic listens to that shit and does something. So basically what I'm saying is, if you left him on his programming, and you left his voice out there, it was inevitable that something else would happen that is reprehensible. So I'm glad he's off the air. I hope he never comes back. I know he'll find some other way to come back. He'll find his own platform. Shit, I wouldn't be surprised if Fox News hires him. I don't know. But bottom line is, controversial speech is different than violent speech, and there should be a great differentiator between the two, and one is acceptable, one is not. And it should be easy to determine which is which. That's my opinion on the whole matter. It's a tough thing to kind of decide. Like I said, it's, people say, oh, it falls under the realm of free speech, and this sets a precedent. Like, I don't think it does. I think it falls in the category of it's hateful and incites violence, and it should not be tolerated. Plus, these are private companies, and it violates their terms of service. So there you go. If you don't like their terms of service, get off their platform. That's all I really got to say about that. So that's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good day. I love you.